Morning, chemists. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a lab that's on cooling and heating curves. We've been studying, and so what we're going to do is we're actually going to make one of these heating curves, cooling curves, using a chemical called lauric acid. In this test tube that you see in front of you is a blue waxy substance. It's called lauric acid. It's actually one of the ingredients that they use to make shampoo. If you ever look at the shampoo bottle, it says sodium laurate on it. Well, they used to use part of these chemicals here, and it's colored blue, not normally, but just so you can see it. It's kind of got a mothball smell to it, so we don't want to get it too hot. The test tube that we have this thing has a thermometer frozen into it that we're going to have kind of a tough time reading here, but I'll have to call out the answers to you so we can read it. It's not coming up on the camera really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to melt this thing, and then we're going to cool it off using a hot water or a cold water bath, and we're going to read the temperatures every 30 seconds on this thing. All right, so let's set this over here, and I have to be very careful here to make sure that I don't get this much over 60 degrees. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Bunsen burner here, and I'm going to slowly heat this thing up little by little, and you can see it's already starting to melt. And when it will also kind of break free of there, but we're going to get this whole thing melted here, and we're going to watch the temperature. Right now it started about room temperature, which is about 22, 23 degrees, and it's not going to take very, and when it starts to liquefy, it'll stay at the same temperature for quite a while, and then it will shoot up. So we got to be really careful about that. We want our goal temperature is to get at 60 degrees. So we're going to heat this thing up so we don't want it to get much over 30 degrees, because it kind of can be dangerous. Now you can see it's kind of breaking free here, and so we're going to stir this thing up a little bit. Right now the temperature is getting close to 60. It didn't take very much time. And it went up over 60. So I'm going to shut this off. And we're going to stir this up until we get all the liquid. Until it's all liquid, we get rid of that last little bit of solids that's in there. Almost all liquid. We may have to heat this up just a little bit yet, because the temperature did come down a little bit, so we're going to heat it up just a little bit more. All right, so we got all the solid out of there, and we're going to let this thing come back to 60 degrees. right, so we just hit just about 60 degrees. We're about 61 degrees, and by the time I get this up, so we're going to put this in a cold water bath. And so the cold water bath is just a beaker here, and I'm going to start a timer. And I'm looking at the thermometer. Our initial temperature is 60 degrees. So I'm going to put this so that the lauric acid is surrounded by cold water. And I can read the temperature every 30 seconds. All right, so when I put that in there, I started that at 30 seconds. And I don't know if you guys can see that well enough, but it's already starting to solidify on here. And so at 30 seconds, we're at 57 degrees. And it's coming down. At 1 minute, it is 48 degrees. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, it is 43 degrees. At 2 minutes, we're at 41 degrees. At 2.5 minutes, it's 40 degrees. At 3 minutes, it is 39 degrees. At 3:30, it is 38 degrees. At 4 minutes, it is 38 degrees. At 4:30, it's 38 degrees. At 5 minutes, it's 38 degrees. And what's happening is it's been solidifying all this time while it's in here. It shouldn't be a surprise that this is leveling off, because what's going on inside, there's a phase change that's occurring. As the hot liquid lauric acid loses energy to the water, the temperature starts to come down, but some of the energy goes into the particles, slowing down, and they're starting to stick together to form a solid. And at 5:30, it's 38 degrees. So it shouldn't surprise us all that there's a leveling off that's going on here. At 6 minutes, it's 38 degrees. At 6.5 minutes, it's 38 degrees. At 7 minutes, it's 35 degrees. At 7.5, it's 35 degrees. At 8 minutes, it's 34 degrees. At 8.5, it's 33 degrees. At 9 minutes, it's 32.5 degrees. At 9.5 minutes, it's 32 degrees. At 10 minutes, it's 32 degrees. At 10 and a half minutes, it's 31.5. At 11 minutes, it's 31. At 11 and a half minutes, it's 30.5. And at 12 minutes, it's 30 degrees, and we're going to stop right there. All right, so this is your data for the cooling curve, so you should be able to plot those points, but we're going to do a heating curve next. All right, we're going to start part B of this, where we're going to do the heating curve. So we need a hot water bath to melt the lauric acid in. We have solid lauric acid, and we want to slowly melt that and record the temperatures again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up some water in this beaker until we get to about 60 degrees. I think should be about 60, 65, somewhere in that neighborhood. Water temperature right now is 24, so it's going to take us a little while to get there. All right, so I just got the water. I just measured the water temperature, and it's between 60 and 65, which should be good for what we're doing here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lauric acid, and I'm going to put it in the hot water bath, and the lauric acid starting temperature is at 25 degrees. And so we're going to start our timer. We put that in there. The initial temperature is going to be 25 degrees. And we're going to read this every 30 seconds again, looking for a temperature plateau. We're looking at temperatures here. All right, so at 30 seconds, the temperature is at 29 degrees. And it's already starting to melt on the outside a little bit, so I'm going to agitate this a little bit as we read, and hopefully be able to stabilize that temperature a bit. All right, at 1 minute, the temperature is at 32 degrees. Now we're getting quite a bit more melting going on. And at 1 minute and 30 seconds, I got 35 degrees. So we're starting over here again, and now we are at 2 minutes, and we are at 37 degrees. bottom melted now. At 2.5 minutes, we're at 38 degrees. At 3 minutes, we're at 38 degrees still. We got a lot of the solid is gone now. We're mostly liquid. And at 3.5 minutes, 38 degrees again. At 4 minutes, 38 degrees. At 4.5 minutes, 38 degrees. At 5 minutes, we're at 38 degrees. At 5.5 minutes, 38 degrees. At 6.5, we're at 38 degrees. Or 6 minutes, I'm sorry, 38 degrees. All right, most of the solid is gone at this point. There's still some in there. But at 6.5 minutes, we're at 40 degrees. In 7 minutes, we're at 42 degrees. At 7.5 minutes, we're at 44 degrees. At 8 minutes, it's 45 degrees. At 8.5, it's 48 degrees. At 9 minutes, we're at 49 degrees. At 9.5, it's 50. Basically all the salt is gone at this point. So at 10 minutes, it's going to be, a couple seconds here, and it is 52. You should have enough information now to do the curve and answer all the questions.